Welcome to Jay's Pod. I'm your host Jay Lakhani, and today my guest is Raham Saber from Saber Coaching, talking about health, personal training, cancer treatments, and much more. Enjoy.
Dude, I'm so glad we've been going back and forth on this for so long.
I
I'm
know,
so
man.
glad we're doing
I'm,
this.
I'm glad it happened.
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure. This is
yeah.
actually my first time doing any sort
A
of
podcast?
podcast. Yeah.
Yeah, but you've been doing
So it's
all
good.
these like promo videos for Club
Club
16.
16, yeah,
Yeah.
and that's done actually. It ended this year. It's finished. So I'm
Yeah.
actually going to be leaving. I have one more client there. I'm just waiting for him to finish his
Oh,
sessions,
okay.
and then I'm leaving. I got my own thing going, the cyber coaching
Yeah,
business.
Saber Coaching. Talk. Well, tell me more about Saber Coaching.
It's hard to explain what I do just because there's so many different aspects to it. But essentially, it's just health coaching. So if somebody
Okay.
comes in, regardless of whether they need nutrition coaching, movement coaching, mental emotional coaching, I'm getting into some energy work, which is wild, and it works. It's not BS.
Okay.
I'll show you some of it if you want later.
Okay, yeah, for sure.
And yeah, essentially, if there's something I can do, then I will. If I can, I'm like, you need to go see this person, or like
Right.
you need to have this done, kind of thing.
Right.
So right now, like for my clientele, I have some that I do personal training. During the personal training, I do like nutrition consultation with them, and then like I had today, I was doing some trauma work
Right.
with this girl that has seizures while getting her to do sprints. So during her rest time, I was doing some like trauma work, like therapy,
Oh, okay.
essentially. So it was interesting, but it's cool. The latest thing I did was I was in California in October. October, yeah. I did the level 2 of the Czech holistic lifestyle coaching,
Oh, okay.
which costs a pretty penny, but yeah,
I think it's
it's
worth it.
super good.
Like,
It's
yeah.
so worth it, man. If
Yeah.
anybody listening, if they're looking for good education that's
Mm.
practical, that doesn't have the BS fluff, and it is actually backed by science, good
Mhm.
science. Anything from the Czech Institute. Paul
Right.
Czech he's the pioneer of
Right.
holistic health and all this other stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah,
So I've like, I mean, at the gym, because we used to work at the same gym,
yeah.
and so I saw all the trainers over there, right? Like they
Mhm.
were like typical trainers, like oh someone wants to lose weight or someone wants to gain like muscle or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But you usually work with paraplegics most of the time.
Yeah.
What got you into that?
It's funny actually. The more disabled, the more they're kind of my type of client. And how that happened was when we first started. As you remember, we were I think seven or eight trainers
Yeah.
there, and I've had my fair share of injuries over the years. And just through those experiences, I've learned a lot of how to cope with injuries and train through injuries.
Right.
So anybody that would come in that
Mhm.
nobody else kind of felt comfortable working with, or they were too
Right.
scared to work with, I was like, send them my way.
Okay.
So like that
Yeah.
kind of started, and then I started just getting a really like I just started liking working with those people
Right.
just because when you're healthy, man, we're so blessed. Like
Oh yeah.
I know you've had a lot of health challenges
Right.
yourself, but some of the people that you see, like somebody comes in, like I have Eric. He has cerebral palsy since birth, and it's affected the right side of his body. So his arm is basically stuck like that, and he doesn't have a whole lot of use except he uses it as a hook when he uses it. And then his right leg is noticeably weaker and atrophied than his left leg. But this guy's attitude is just unbelievable. He's like,
Yeah.
yeah, so it is what it is. I can still do everything you can
Yeah.
do. And he literally can.
Right.
He does everything that you would ask him to do. And
Yeah.
if he can't do it, he will try and try and
Right.
try. And the amount of strength some of these people with disabilities have is just unbelievable,
Yeah.
right? Because you think, oh, poor you, you're disabled, like, oh, it
Yeah.
sucks. And then, but honestly, like realistically, they have so much ability through that disability because they realize, you know what, it's like maybe I don't have a hand, but I have
Right.
so many other things that I can use.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I mean, I wish more people, myself included,
Mhm.
would take on that attitude and
Right.
just behave that way because
Yeah.
everyone's. I mean, everyone's got issues, but
Right.
at the end of the day, it's like this guy doesn't have a freaking arm to use.
Right.
Like, what's your excuse?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he's still doing everything he needs to do. So,
Like what makes it worse for them is like us feeling sorry for them all the time.
oh my God, he gets
Right?
pissed. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
they
that's the
get
thing. It's
pissed,
kind of
yeah.
like if you're blind,
Mhm.
right? And you're like, oh, that sucks, right? You're blind and you can't see anything. Like, yeah, but they have perfected like their other senses
Mhm.
so well. They're living a normal life,
Yeah.
like you and I. It's and the whole time, just because we don't understand,
Mhm.
we kind of like undermine them all the time.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
like, okay, yeah, so it's something that needs to be talked about more.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, 100%. And Actually, I was having this conversation with someone today because I came to Canada when I was 12. Love this place because it is inclusive, and that's
Right.
what I was telling my client today. I was like, you know what, in Iran, if you're disabled, like you're dead. There's no wheelchair access,
Yeah.
anything. Like the bus doesn't come down for you to
Right.
allow you to roll onto it
Right.
with your wheelchair kind of thing. But here, like they use that human being to the best of their capability. They give them tools to be able to
Right.
flourish, right?
Yeah.
Whereas in so many different parts of the world, they're like, "You're nothing. Go sit over there,"
Yeah.
kind of thing. But it's like, I mean, at the end of the day, if you have a brain like Stephen Hawking,
Yeah.
you got a brain, you're
Yeah.
good to go,
Yeah.
pretty
That's
much.
all
Like
you need.
that's literally
Yeah.
like you can still do
Yeah.
pretty much anything else. And as technology progresses, like I'm pretty sure by the time we're like 80 years old, all you
Yeah.
need is a brain,
Right.
or
Yeah.
they might even download you onto a
Yeah.
hard drive.
Yeah. Because that's what they'll be doing, right? I mean, I heard they're gonna like install this like little chip on you, where you don't even need Google or shit anymore. It's just like you just have to think,
Yeah,
and it tells you what it is.
Matrix style.
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if I want that, but
Yeah, there's the whole what is it, like the hero's journey of becoming who you want to become and
Right.
learning the things you want to learn. There's this fun in the process, right? It's not
Yeah.
just like about getting to the destination. The journey's
Right.
fun in itself. It sucks sometimes,
Yeah.
but it's still necessary. So yeah, I don't know if that's such a great thing because then everybody's gonna be good at everything.
Everything. Yeah.
But then yeah, I don't know because it's just yeah, human beings are just gonna go up a level, right?
Yeah.
With the introduction of technology, if you look at people 200 years ago, 1,000 years ago, what they believed to be possible,
Yeah.
like you show a cell phone to someone from 1,000 years ago, they're gonna have a heart attack. Like they'll have a stroke.
Dude,
You're
like
like,
what? I don't know. I didn't have my first cell phone until I was in the last year of my high school.
okay,
Yeah, my senior year. And during that time, only two kids had, like my whole school, only two kids had cell phone.
cell
Like the
phone,
parents were super wealthy.
yeah,
And I've never seen a color cell phone before. Like, like nothing. And it was like, there's no way it can progress anymore.
yeah,
This is it, right? Next thing you know, you're online on your phone.
yeah,
So what's the point of even having a computer anymore? Just
yeah,
like
man.
everything, yeah. And so it's like it makes you wonder that is it also making us lazier?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Just because you don't really, yeah, just because like there's a lot of it's interesting because some people are mistakenly saying that we're living in the information age. We're not. That's done. Like we already passed the information age.
Mm.
There's a lot of information. I think, and there's an, like anything you want, just
Right. Yeah.
Google it. You literally
Yeah.
like brain surgery. You can
Yeah.
learn it.
Yeah.
Um,
YouTube.
so
YouTube
yeah,
tutorial brain surgery.
exactly. So a lot of people are good at doing a lot of things, but nobody's masters at doing almost anything.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a problem.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a I love education, as you know. I
Yeah.
don't really like the traditional schooling of you need to learn everything about this
This-
little thing and
yeah.
ignore everything else. But
Right.
there is
Yeah.
value in knowing that, of course.
Yeah.
So, but I think that's slowly losing its
Right.
color and its value in our
Yeah.
society. But yeah, I do think people are becoming a little bit more lazy because they don't really go out hunting for things anymore,
Right.
right? I mean, going to the library, like taking out 15 books, what you
Yeah.
can get in 5 minutes right now
Yeah.
off of Wikipedia, it's is it better? Yeah, if you're going to use that
Right.
along with other things,
Right.
not if you're just going to use that, be like, okay, I know it, I'm good. It's like, no,
Yeah.
practice it. Like you have to actually do it before you get
Right.
good at it, right? So,
Yeah.
so yeah,
So
like,
it's kind of like how nowadays in school, I think this has been going on since like 1950s, where they're teaching kids how to develop their personality
hmm,
instead of like character. It's like we don't like
interesting.
if you go to the offices or if you go get a job right after university, something like that, right? Nobody's gonna look at like your character. It's like everything is about sales now. How
It's
do you
true.
sell yourself? If you're
Hmm.
an introvert, you're completely fucked.
Yeah.
It's like considered a disease nowadays, right?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, if you're an introvert, they'll give you anti-anxiety.
Oh yeah.
You give you like all these kind of like, oh yeah, you have depression. That's what it is, right? Yeah, depression like exists for sure.
Yeah.
It's a real issue.
For sure.
But nowadays everyone has depression.
Yeah.
Why? Because there's so much competition now.
Hmm.
So everyone has to like one up someone else's personality.
Hmm.
Having like good morals or ethics or whatever doesn't work anymore. You have to be like well spoken. You have to like sell something that could be completely bad for you.
Yeah.
So make people believe your lies. That's what it's all about, and that's what they teach them nowadays.
Yeah.
So
I think it's changing a little bit.
Right.
right now, especially because social media is blown up to be what it is,
Right.
and there's so much fake shit on there.
Yeah.
For example, like all these YouTube stars that you see that look absolutely amazing,
Yeah.
they're not gonna live for a whole lot longer
Yeah.
being the same way that they are. Like
Yeah.
they're gonna have because their body is breaking down. You can't sustain that image.
Right.
I actually know a couple firsthand where you're looking at them like, damn, you look amazing. You look so healthy, and then you see them like the person's in chronic pain. They're depressed. Can't digest food. Taking a shitload of supplements,
Right.
drugs just to look like that. So it's just a
Yeah.
facade
Yeah.
put out there. But the one cool thing is there's some of the people that have been some of like the gurus online kind of thing. They're the real ones, not the bullshit ones,
Yeah.
not the fake it till you make it
Like Wim
crowd.
Hof and like,
Yeah, he's
yeah,
we could talk about him
different
for
level.
2 days straight. The guy's yeah, he's amazing. I met him actually.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, when he came here last year, I think it was at
Was it
UBC.
snowing then?
No, he came in March.
Oh okay.
Yeah. Not last year. Sorry, the year before.
Okay.
We're 2019 now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think a lot of the real coaches are telling because they're living that truth
Right.
themselves. They're kind of showing the younger generation the value in just be yourself. You know,
Right.
there is a place in the world for you.
Mhm.
You don't have to keep pretending to be something you're not,
No.
right? If you want to become somebody else, that's a different story.
Mhm.
But like I remember there's this one TED talk about that this girl that or this woman that had a brain injury and she went down like 3 standard deviations in her IQ and she was
Oh,
like
okay.
I faked it till
Yeah.
I became it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but that's not faking
Nope.
it. You know what I mean? Like you're trying to become that person. You're doing everything that person would do. So faking it just
Yeah.
is not really believing that you're doing
Yeah.
it. To me, that's fake.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, that message gets lost sometimes, unfortunately. But
Well, they can argue with you saying that yeah, fake it until you believe it.
yeah.
So I don't think that's gonna work either
Mm-mm.
because I don't know if I try to fake anything, like my heart is not into it. I'm just like forcing myself to do it
And
because
people know you're fake.
yeah,
Yeah, people can tell.
yeah,
And it's
exactly.
it's subconscious,
Yeah.
right? Sometimes you like talking to somebody, you're like, man, this person's just authentic. Like
Yeah,
I can connect with them. Some other
yeah,
times, like you go to a salesman
right.
that's really trying to just sell you on something
Mhm.
that is gonna make the most amount of money for them. You're like, yeah, some part of me just doesn't trust you. And then you see somebody else, they might not look as presentable,
Right.
but you're like, I can connect with this person. And then at the end of the day, you find out, okay, this person was actually selling me something that I needed
Yeah.
versus the other person who just wanted to make a buck. Right?
Yeah.
So
No. Yeah. Totally. Like if you go to a gym, right?
Yeah.
And you go to a gym, like you want to get a gym membership. Like, hey, I just want to get a gym membership. I want to work out and whatnot.
Yeah.
But they'll try to sell you, like, and they'll tell you you need a trainer.
Yeah.
You need this. You need that. No, no one needs anything. They can use it.
Yeah.
But no one needs it. And like the whole aspect, like they don't care about like your, like betterment.
Mm-hmm.
All they care about is like how to make a quick buck. And once they do that, they'll give you like any trainer out of the blue. This is what I like about like our gym where we were working
Mm-hmm.
is because I think we matched the trainers and like people who actually wanted personal trainer,
Yeah.
like really well. So
Yeah,
it
for
worked
sure.
out. Yeah, that's why it is so successful at the moment.
Yeah, the Club 16 model is fitness should be accessible and cheap for everyone.
Yeah.
$16 a month. I mean, I don't know
Yeah.
anybody that can't afford that. And even for training, like when we had sales, it was for the first level trainers. It
Right.
would be down to like $50 a
Yeah.
session. So for someone who's just trying to like get into the gym and just learn, I truly believe everybody can benefit from coaching.
Oh yeah, of course.
For sure.
Yeah.
But if you're selling somebody 30 sessions and that's going to put more stress on them, they're
Yeah.
already stressed. And they're going to come
Yeah.
in there and be like, they're not
Yeah.
going to lose any weight. They're not going to
Yeah.
learn anything. You're putting more
Yeah.
stress on them, and it's just not
Yeah.
ethical. Like,
Yeah.
what are you doing?
And thing is, like, if they want a personal trainer, they'll just ask.
Yeah.
People will just ask. Like every single one that I've sold,
Yeah.
they literally just ask. Like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, what are your options?
Yeah.
And here it is. So I don't know what's the point of like if you push them, you might be losing a potential sale to begin with.
Yeah.
Right, and you're making like someone who actually wants to betterment their life,
Mm-hmm.
wants to get healthy. It's like now they have like a very negative connotation with that. Like
Yeah, for sure.
they don't want to like no, I don't want to go to any gym now.
Yeah. It's like, I
Right?
went there,
So-
they ripped me off.
Yeah.
Now every time a person says, "Oh, you guys are sleazy."
Yeah.
It's actually funny. This is a concept that Paul teaches in his courses, and he says that
Wait, who's Paul again?
Paul Check.
Paul Check.
Yeah, and he says the person has to basically be willing enough to follow. If their motivation level is below 7, they're not gonna
Mm-hmm.
follow
Yeah.
through.
Yeah.
And then you have to actually assess their lifestyle to see if what you're doing is going to stress them even more. So if somebody comes in, they're like, I'm broke, I can't afford you at your rate, but
Yeah.
I want to get healthy. You giving them, oh, you have to take these supplements, you got to go see this person, you got to do this test, and you have to pay me, blah
Yeah.
blah blah amount of money. You're not helping them. You're
Nope.
you're making money, and
Yeah.
you're better off just telling that person, be like, look, I think with the amount of money that you have, this is probably your best option. Go do this, go do this, go do this, and then
Mm-hmm.
maybe come back and consult with me, or like I have this other person that you can work with through this kind of thing, instead of being like, oh yeah, you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to do that. It's
Mm-hmm.
like giving people option, actually hearing them out, because I mean, in the short term, you might make less money, but in
Right.
the long term, a person's going to be like, you know what, this person actually cares about me
Yeah.
enough to not just take my money and say, okay, bye. I did
Mm-hmm.
my 1 hour and then I'm checked out now, right?
Yeah.
So, which unfortunately happens a lot with in medicine.
Right.
It sucks. I mean, it was funny. I was actually thinking about this today. It's if you're poor, you die
Yeah.
sooner, generally
Yeah.
speaking. Thank God for Canada and the healthcare system that we
Yeah.
have.
That's why I left
I've
U.S.
yeah, man. I've personally seen
Can't afford.
I've personally seen the benefits of universal
Mm.
healthcare. Like I am okay paying as much tax
Tax,
as I
yeah.
do, just because it's gonna come back, and it's
Yeah.
yeah, just the way that they take care of people that are on their deathbed is just they go out with dignity, and
Yeah.
the ones that aren't going out, if they think it's severe enough, you get the best care possible. I've seen that a lot in my family.
Right.
Personally, I haven't had too many experiences. Unfortunately, if
Mhm.
there's so many of those right now that if you're just a little bit injured, you're screwed. But
Yeah. Yeah.
but I mean, nothing is perfect. But yeah, going back to what we were saying, it's I don't think money should be a determining factor of
Exactly.
whether you're healthy or not, which unfortunately
Yeah,
is,
for
is
it
the
is.
case for
It
a
is.
lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for
So
sure.
you're still in school, right?
I think I'm always gonna be in school, man. I'm I
Constant
finished.
learner. Yeah.
Yeah, I finished with the manual therapy stuff a while ago. I got into some what did I do afterwards? After neuroconnect therapy, I started learning more about immunoneural therapy, and I learned that it's basically there's a bunch of patches that you can put on people. That again, there's money associated with it.
Mhm.
That emit a certain frequency, and that frequency works with the frequencies in your body and basically brings you up to a certain level.
Mhm.
And after that, I got into some more of the energy work, which again basically goes back to the say frequency. It is essentially frequency therapy. Energy
Right.
work is. And then recently, the most thing I've been studying is neuroscience, and basically how traumas get housed in the body,
Mhm.
and how they affect tissues, how they affect organs, how your body is literally your unconscious mind. And I heard that statement said many times, but I don't really understand it. And it's nothing more than your body houses whatever traumas, emotions, whatever experience you've had in your life.
Mhm.
It is remembered by your subconscious brain, and it is remembered by your body
Yeah.
at pretty much every level, because it was substantial enough for you to remember it. And yeah, it's quite fascinating, and I'm at that point where I'm thinking I don't think I have enough life to learn everything.
No. I think it's gonna keep progressing, right?
Honestly,
We always
it's
think-
crazy. Like I know quite a lot about just the body and health,
Right.
but at the same time I know nothing.
Yeah.
There is so much to know, and it can break so many different ways,
Right.
right? And you see all these like modern medicine's got a name for this disease, a name for that disease.
Yep.
They're coming up with new ones every single day, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't think that's ever gonna stop.
No. Yeah.
Realistically, and
No.
it's the crazy thing is there's yeah, I mean, like, imagine how many different ways a car can break. That's all mechanical.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
electrical. Now add spiritual and like spiritual, mental, emotional, spiritual. Yeah. So add that onto it as well, and
Yeah.
it's just a different volume.
Well, if you look at the whole picture, it's kind of easier to treat them as well, right? Like if you're going through a heartbreak or something,
Yeah.
and they say like when you're going through that, your chest literally hurts.
Yeah.
You're physically in pain.
Of course.
So and that goes in like you can go to a doctor like okay, yeah, my chest hurt, or my whatever hurt. They're like okay, I don't see anything wrong with your chest, right? Yeah, but you just went through something, right? And that can cause
It's
all the
traumatic.
other effects. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I think it should be studied more.
Oh my god.
And yeah,
Okay.
and also you were working on that cancer treatment, like the radiotherapy.
You're talking about Royal Rife?
You're all right, yeah.
Yeah, that's
Dude, that was so interesting.
Yeah, my cousin got diagnosed in 2013 at 43 with stage 4 breast cancer.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
She passed away in June after 5 years, and I don't wish anybody's family to go through anything like that, especially for someone that young. It breaks everybody, especially if you have a tight knit family. Obviously, it's tragic. So I saw how the medical system approached it. I saw how they tried to help things out, and Canadian Cancer Society, phenomenal place. They're amazing people. They're volunteers, absolutely beautiful people. Unfortunately, the way that they go about things is too isolated. They don't look at the whole picture.
Right.
They give you some recommendations on some stuff to do, but the biggest factor that they should address, which is mental emotional health, they don't really go after a whole lot. Because it hasn't been studied.
Right.
And that's the downfall of science right now, is anything that isn't hard science, which it hasn't, if it hasn't been reproduced by a billion studies ad nauseum, they don't accept. And the problem with that is, as you know, is you can fake results. And the crazy thing is, even if you're the very act of you looking for a result is going to alter results of a study, which is crazy. And nobody seems to really give a crap about that. I mean, big pharma, they don't care. They're going to produce that pill. Does it work? Maybe. Is it the best thing for you? Probably not. Should you take it? Probably in conjunction with some other stuff for it to work. But a fun fact for you to consider would be anything that you put in your body that interacts with your body, it only does so because that substance already exists in your body.
Okay.
So any pill that you put in your body and you have a reaction to, it's because your brain is already producing that chemical.
Yeah, like taking dopamine pills or serotonin or SRIs and stuff like that. Yeah.
Anything that you take and it alters anything in your body is because your brain has the capacity to produce that in your body. So my idea, and a lot of people that are in the alternative health industry, is, well, why don't you prompt the body to produce that itself?
Yeah.
It's the highest quality, it doesn't have any side effects, you don't have to be on a schedule to take it. When you need it, it produces it. And I mean, nature's much smarter than people think. So the whole frequency thing with Rife, do you want to...
Yeah, go get into it. Yeah, because that's what, like, I was really interested, because I wanted to know why they stopped his research, because it was very successful, right? Pharma money. But they
there's no money in healthy people, unfortunately. It's a commodity, right?
Right.
If you think of I don't know, iPods, if nobody buys them, they go broke. So what's the best way that pharmaceuticals can sell? It's to have sick people, not cure people. Have people that are alive for long enough that they are consuming, but not so dead that they can't consume.
Right.
Right. I mean, I remember they would. There was this one chemo they were giving my cousin called tamoxifen, which is, I think, a estrogen receptor blocker, and this one cost $1,500 a bag, and they were giving that to her 3 times, once every 3 weeks.
Okay, but it's covered though, right?
It's covered, but somebody's paying
so
for
they
it, right?
keep them barely alive. So that way, okay.
Chemo does work to some level, but a lot of times, a lot of people are saying that it's actually shortening people's lifespans when it's that severe of that advanced stage of a cancer. The lower stages, it does work because it's not. It hasn't gone that deep into the person's system. If that makes sense. And you're essentially, imagine Canada gets into a war with, I don't know, US, and US invades, and then Canada nukes Vancouver to get rid of the US. They're going to kill everything. Right? So they're doing more targeted stuff, they're doing this, they're going deeper into the cell, finding this gene, that gene, that gene. It's like, for fuck's sake, just find out why that person got cancer in the first place. Right? And if you look at it, and that again, that goes back into frequency. So the whole thing with, I'll start with the Rife thing. So the whole thing with Rife's research, who he was brilliant. He was an engineer. He was I think he got an honorary doctorate in bacteriology. He was a machinist. He was a musician, so he understood a lot of different things.
Right.
And he got interested in diseases, and especially cancer, when he was quite young. And he set up a lab. This is all on YouTube. People can search it up and look for him. He set up a lab, and he basically cured cancer in 1932, 35. 100%. He took 16 patients into his lab. He used a frequency generator to zap the cancer cells, essentially.
Okay.
Much like the way that noise canceling headphones
Right.
cancel the noise around a person. And it worked. It was 100% successful. Before he did that, he repeated the same study on 437 rats. He injected them with a virus that was causing breast cancer,
Okay.
which he took off of a cadaver. It was donated to him by a doctor in California, I think. And again, 100% success rate. Went to a bunch of different animals. Again, 100% success rate. And how he came about this was, his theory was that every living organism has a resonating frequency. The more complex the organism, the more different frequencies it has. So a virus is an extremely small organism,
Yeah.
and he hypothesized that it should have probably one or two different frequencies. And what he also said was that virus is what morphs into different viruses, which then morph into different bacteria,
Right.
which then take over the cell, mutate that cell, and then live in that cell until it takes over and kills whatever is around it. Because
Okay.
the nature of a virus is that it consumes everything around
Right.
it. He started researching, and he actually worked for a German microscope company. I forget the name, but they're still the best in the world. And at the time, their best microscopes could only magnify up to 15,000 times. And that's not big enough for you to see
Yeah.
viruses. Being the genius that he was, he designed his own virus, his own microscope, which is actually currently in the Smithsonian Institute in Washington, if I'm not mistaken. And he was able to see these things, and he would use prisms using quartz crystals to basically block out different frequencies. So he would be able to see the viruses in different colors. And each color has a specific frequency.
Right.
So then he hooked up with this guy who was the leading engineer for making vacuum tubes. And he basically explained to him what he needed, and that guy designed a frequency generator for him, which I think he literally sat down. He went through every single virus that he could find. He put him inside this microscope, and he would literally turn the channel like 1 hertz at a time to find out how he would zap this thing.
Okay.
And viruses, I've never studied medicine traditionally, but the way I understand it is viruses are encased in they have a shell, essentially. So what his device would do is it would shatter the shell, and then that whole thing would fall apart.
Yeah.
It's as if you take our tissues and then you
Yeah.
rip all the skin
Yeah.
off. It would bleed to death, something like that. He almost killed himself, and the guy that he was working with, John Hammond, was his colleague, I think, once, where he emitted this one frequency, and it killed all the electronics in his lab,
okay.
because it was in the same resonating frequency. So I think he called the frequency of which would kill the viruses MOR, mortal oscillating, MOF, mortal oscillating frequency, or mortal oscillating resonance, I think.
Okay.
And he documented all of it.
Okay.
So then he took that experiment from the petri dish. He started to apply it to real
Yeah.
tissues, and then he tried it with the rats. So he would put the rat, inject it. He would filter the tissue so that the only thing remaining was the smallest virus that was possible, and he injected that into the rat, and he let it mutate inside the rat until the rat had another rat growing outside of it. And then he would just zap this thing. He would cut it out, zap it, and then it would be completely dead almost instantaneously.
Okay.
He did it enough times for him to basically get recognition from every single medical association except the AMA at the time.
Okay.
So everybody said, "You're good, good for you." They would write about him in newspapers. They praised him as, "Oh my God, you cured cancer," yada yada yada. And some people say, it's a conspiracy theory, but the head of the AMA at the time, I forget the guy's name, but he was very friendly with Big Pharma. And because this couldn't really be duplicated because of how complex his microscope was, and his microscope actually at the time would magnify things to about 60,000 magnification. whereas the best one at the time was only 15,000.
Yeah.
So that's even more powerful than electron microscopes of today.
Oh.
And the crazy thing is, the electron microscopes of today, they zap whatever they're looking at, so it's dead tissue. Whereas his, he was looking at live specimens.
Right.
And he needed that because he needed to look at it, put a frequency, see if this thing died or not, right? And he found that the frequencies were completely harmless to healthy tissue, and yeah, he started getting traction, and then the AMA was like, no, this is bullshit. This isn't scientific. Like, you can't prove this. Yada yada yada. They raided his lab. I think it was formed in a way of a break-in, destroyed everything. They discredited him. They tried to take his license away, and then everybody started turning on him, saying, "Oh yeah, like no, we didn't have any affiliations and yada yada yada." And then this was called, I think it was called the California Group, that did this back in the 30s. So they destroyed his lab, and then I think they tried it again. I think he ran away to Mexico because they tried to try him for medical fraud. Right. Eventually, and then I think he remained in Mexico until he died in the 70s of. They said alcohol, but I mean, it could have killed him. I don't know. But his research didn't die. Luckily, it's still available. Another group tried to duplicate what he did. I think in the 70s or the 80s, and again, same thing. They shut it down. And, but yeah, it's the crazy thing is it's not so far fetched to think about how this thing works, because for thousands of years, yogis and like Ayurvedic medicine, Tai Chi has been saying that your thoughts have a certain frequency associated with them. I mean, if you look at someone who's depressed, they're always, terrible posture like that. Someone who's in a good mood, it's always up. And so the frequency at which your organs are working with, and when I say that, I mean the frequency with which the cells are communicating is what's and what they're oscillating at is what's important. It's a real thing. I mean, you go to certain places, you feel the energy in it. It's alive. Or you walk into a room where someone just had a fight, and you're like, oh, you can feel the energy. I want to be in here. Yeah. Or where you go to a room where someone's been meditating, you're like, oh my god, I feel energized. Yeah. Right. Or you go to near a sick person. I mean, a dead person has nothing. If you've ever seen a corpse, you've been near it, it's like you feel nothing. No. Right. So it's a very real thing, and science is just beginning to be able to measure it and prove that it's an actual thing. I mean, like Joe Dispenza does seminars where he hooks people up to EKGs and ECGs, and he actually has some scientists that come in that can measure the frequency of a room, and he gets people to meditate, looks at their brain scan, it looks jagged as hell, it's all in gamma, and then they're like, well, he's having a seizure, and you look at the guy and he's in bliss, his heart rate is at 60. I was like, this doesn't look like he's having a seizure, it looks like he's in full kundalini. Right, and then they get people to basically open up their heart, so to speak, and they say that they can measure that frequency that's emitted by that single person up to I think 9 meters away from them, which is crazy. So
well, this was they did the same experiment with like monks, right, like Buddhist monks as well, and you know how they can like change their emotions, like whenever they want, like in a very controlled way. Yeah. But the thing is, they've been doing it for ages, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
It takes like long time, but if you have a family or whatever, right? If you're living a normal average life, then it's very difficult to get into that routine.
It's doable.
And it is doable. I'm sure it's doable.
Very doable. It's not as hard as people think. Like to get to that monk's level, like there's some stories of monks levitating. I believe it. Honestly, just because we're spiritual beings having a humanly experience, I truly believe that. But they have this guy, he actually references this one guy in one of his seminars who he's claimed to be the happiest person in the world. Because usually your brain, I think, generates somewhere near 20 microvolts of electricity, if I'm not mistaken. They had this one guy who was emitting 25 million.
Okay.
And the guy was crying. He was in pure bliss. Right. He was in so much joy that he was crying out of joy. And like that's not normal, right? So because in studies normal is 3 standard deviations to the right and the left of any study. This one guy would basically be 125,000 standard deviations. Okay. To the right.
So how did that happen again? Like was he
meditating?
Just meditate.
Just meditating, yeah, years, and he was a Buddhist monk.
Okay.
But like you don't have to be Mother Teresa or like a Buddhist monk to actually achieve those levels. It's just a practice.
Okay.
You have to do it day in and day out. It's just
Right.
like it's like running or weightlifting.
Yeah.
It's a skill. It's not, people aren't just born with it.
Right.
And in his seminars, actually, he gets a lot of people that come in with lifelong diseases like MS, different kind of gut
Right.
issues. There was this one guy who had a stroke, and you can actually
Mhm.
follow his stuff. It's because he posts testimonials on his page. You see the guy the first time, and he's like this,
Right.
and he can barely walk. And then 2-3 seminars later, where he's been, he's like his hand is down, he's joking,
Right.
he's walking without a cane.
Right.
Like that's real,
Yeah.
right? And it's an observational thing, but it's very real. So.
But we can't really disregard like the whole concept of like modern medicine either, right? I mean, it
Absolutely
was,
not.
I mean, polio, right? I mean,
100%,
it's
yeah.
yeah. So it's not just like, you know, oh, if you think about like, you know, oh yeah, if you can't walk because of for whatever reason, right? And you just like think about, okay, yeah, I'm just gonna meditate and like, you know, I'll be able to walk again. It doesn't happen all the time, right? So you are not against. Just make sure you're not against modern medicine.
Absolutely
You're,
not.
okay.
No, absolutely not. Modern medicine's great for acute conditions.
Right.
You break your arm, get your ass to the hospital.
Yeah.
You can pray on that arm all you want. Not gonna get a whole lot better. I mean, it will with time, but it's gonna be crooked. So
Right.
you get stung by a rattlesnake,
Yeah.
get your ass to the hospital.
Yeah.
But unless it's funny I said actually a rattlesnake, because people in India
Yeah.
who meditate,
Yeah.
and then they're like, bite me, boom,
Yeah.
and they're completely fine. So
Yeah.
those guys are not normal.
But they're immune to that. Like they've been bitten so many times. Isn't like there a guy in the U.S. as well you remember Jake the Snake, the wrestler?
Yeah.
Yeah, the guy who used to produce him snakes. To give him snakes. That guy's been bitten so many times that it's like so immune to getting. Yeah. So nothing happened, right? So it's not like voodoo magic or anything. Like, you're just immune to like, you know, that kind of pain.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, you see all these yogis and whatnot. Like, you know, you have cancer, I can just get rid of it by doing whatever, right?
Yeah.
But do you think that's actually true that it happens? Because like there are a lot of cases where, you know, they get scammed over and over and over again, and I don't understand why people keep going to them because it never works for them. Like, right? So
Because they sell hope.
yeah.
Unfortunately, there is a lot of snake oil out there. Some of the newer stuff I'm learning, like there's this modality, it's called the Emotion Code. It's by Dr. Bradley Nelson, who's a chiropractor. And then he started going more into energy work and kind of healing people. And his idea is you get trapped emotions inside the body, and those trapped emotions can block basically the flow of chi. So you don't your life juice won't move as much. And I've been playing with that a little bit for a little while, and I don't know if it's placebo, I don't know if it's an actual thing, but it does make a difference. So identifying an emotion and getting it out of somebody's nervous system, which, I mean, like you getting it out of the body, which is the unconscious mind, it does feel better. Like I've noticed I sleep better. I've been doing it on my clients, and they feel better and they seem better. Again, whether that's just their own brain making sense of the placebo, and placebo gets disregarded all the time. But I mean, I think 30% of every study has
placebo.
The people that take a sugar pill and they get
Yeah.
better. It's like, well, why aren't you paying attention to this? Right? It's important enough. But but going back to what you said, allopathic medicine, phenomenal. It saved so many acute conditions, but the problem is our lifestyle has gone to a point where chronic conditions are the large majority of problems. Right now, I think, 1 in 3 Americans over 60 is on at least one pill for life.
Yeah. Well, that's
Which is crazy, and it's usually either cholesterol, statin, which hasn't been shown to work a whole lot, blood pressure medication, and cholesterol, blood pressure, and I forget the third one. But it's basically usually cardiovascular related. But when allopathic medicine initially came about, people were eating organic food. There was no mass farming. There was no GMO foods. Roundup didn't exist. You know, like food was food. Food was medicine. And like when you get sick, if you eat good food, you get better faster. And unfortunately, that's not the same, and that's not to say that allopathic medicine sucks. It doesn't, but people have kind of lost their way, and you got to have a certain lifestyle and life practices in order to stay healthy. And then when you get sick for whatever reason, sure, go seek some help. But you're using an acute response, something that was made for an acute response for chronic conditions, and it just doesn't work because it's just going to wear out your body even more. Because a lot of it is just symptom suppression.
Right.
right? It's like Tylenol. Hey, I'm in pain. I don't want to be in pain. I gotta achieve something. Cool. Take it. But
Yeah.
if you gotta take it for a year every day, like that's a problem.
Oh yeah.
Like go after what's the main issue, and that's the beauty of functional medicine.
Right.
Have you heard of functional medicine?
No.
So functional medicine is again deemed one of these alternative medicinal practices where they don't just say, hey, I have a headache. Here's a pill. Fix the headache. It's like here's a pill if you want to take it. Fix the headache, and then let's find out why you have a headache.
Oh yeah.
And it's funny. Modern medicine has given people the ability to live like idiots.
Oh yeah. No.
It's like this food gives me heartburn. I'm gonna eat it and I'm just gonna have some Tums and I'm still gonna eat it. It's like that food is shit. Like stop eating it.
Yeah.
Clearly it's not good for you.
Yep.
Your body doesn't like it. So why are you eating it? Right?
Exactly. Yeah. No, but instead take a pill because
It's easy.
you know it's the It's the whole food thing, right? I mean, going to McDonald's is right there, like, right across the street. You go, you know, you spend like $2, you get like, you know,
Calling
or
that
burgers.
food,
Yeah, exactly.
calling that food is a disgrace.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's it's crazy. It's the amount of nutrients lacking in food is what they're selling you in supplements. So you're paying twice for food, essentially. You're paying it once in the food that you're buying in the grocery store, and then again when you're buying the supplement, and then actually it's sometimes a third time through the pill that you have to take to counteract that. So but it's changing slowly, which is good. But I mean, at least have the information. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like have people make a conscious decision. And unfortunately, a lot of allopathic doctors aren't trained in lifestyle or diet, or if they are, it's like this whole low-fat crap. Like, I'm sorry, no.
You need fat. But how does your brain functions, right?
Like there's enough studies now suggesting it's like just eat egg whites. No, don't eat fucking egg whites. Like eat the whole fucking
egg. Yolk. Yeah.
No, there's that's the whole point of eating. Like they say, eat the animal nose to tail. Because if you look at ancestral health, they would eat the entire animal. They wouldn't just be like, I'm just gonna have that lean cut of beef. It's like no, eat the fat.
Yeah.
The fat is good for you. With that said, if it's a conventionally raised animal, mammals house fat, house toxins in their fat.
Yeah.
So if you can't get good quality meat, you're probably better off. You're safer getting a leaner cut. But with that said, it's not good for you.
Yeah.
Right. So it's the whole standard, the SAD diet, the triangle with the fat, the little piece up here, and then this is all grains.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, how's that working for you?
Well, at the end of the day, right? Like you said, it's all business.
Oh yeah.
For the government, right? I mean, and whatever makes money, and things are cheaper that way.
Yeah.
So it's like they just take advantage of the consumers.
Yeah, and unfortunately, doctors get caught in the middle, right?
Oh yeah.
Because one, if they start prescribing stuff that's not backed by hard science, they lose their license. A lot of times, these hard sciences are they're funded by pharmaceutical companies or Monsanto. Monsanto, I think Coke has an organic line now.
Yeah.
Which is insane. So they're good people. They want to help them, but a lot of times I hear
no choice. They got to make money as well, and they have to feed their families.
Well, the doctor's like, I don't know. Like, if this works, cool. If I don't know. It's like if you pray on your food and you're digesting it better, cool, do it, right? Because it's like sometimes it's just like they're like, I'm out, man. Like I don't know. I don't know what to do. And unfortunately, naturopaths sometimes take this approach as well. And I'm generalizing. There are a lot of amazing medical practitioners out there for sure. But they don't really have a whole lot of time. I mean, what can you achieve within 15 minutes? But for a naturopath, actually talking to a friend today, and she was saying she went to a naturopath. She had all this testing done, yada yada yada. She's like, I'm low in this, I'm high in that. I got to bring this lower. And I was like, can I be honest with you? She's like, yeah. I was like, all this testing stuff is kind of a waste of time if your lifestyle's not going to change.
Yeah.
Like, sure, eat the greatest thing, but if you wake up like, I fucking hate my life.
Yeah.
It's like, why would you want to be alive then, right?
Yeah.
So the nature's going to facilitate that, right? So, but with that said, listen to doctors.
Yeah, listen to your doctors. Like, change your lifestyle, man. I mean, there's all these things you can do. There's not just one way to do a certain thing, right? You gotta go to.
You gotta see what works for you.
Yeah. And you gotta look at the foundation. You gotta find the foundation of why you are having these problems.
Absolutely.
And
get to the root cause.
Get the root cause and go from there. All right, Raham, thanks, man. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you. That was awesome.
Yeah, tell people where they can find you.
Saber Coaching. I have a website. I haven't really put anything on it yet. I've been so busy studying. But if you go on Instagram, Saber Coaching, and Facebook, Saber Coaching as well. SABER.
Yeah, I'll put your link down. Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries, man.
Yeah, man. This was awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming in. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Bye. All right.